lead story. Well, some good news. 60 Indians have been rescued from Cambodia. They're expected to land in Hyderabad, in Vizag. In fact, this after that massive human trafficking racket, that syndicate was actually busted. The first batch of 60 Indian nationals have been rescued by the Indian Embassy in Cambodia from fraudulent employers, and they're set to return home. Mohammad Ghazali, who tracks the External Affairs Ministry for us, is joining us on the phone line. So, Ghazali, it's been a commendable rescue operation.
Oh, yes, and around 300 Telugu youths from Vizag and other parts of the state were lured by local agents to Cambodia and forced to work in cybercrime syndicates there. And just a couple of days ago, they had revolted against their handlers in the Southeast Asian country, and after which some of the youths had also shared videos with the Vizag police on their WhatsApp, and after which the police swung into action. They started their probe and unearthed a big racket there. They have also, the Vizag police chief had informed that they had also arrested a local agent in Vizag, and now they also formed 7 special teams to track all that, and also wrote to MEA, after which the Indian Embassy in Cambodia swung into action, tracked those people, and 60 out of those 150 who had protested or revolted there will be reaching Vizag tomorrow morning. So it's a big rescue operation where the Indian Embassy in Cambodia in no time tracked those youths, brought them to the Cambodian capital where the embassy is located, after which their travel documents are also prepared, for which it took more than a day. And now they will be boarding the flight tonight and will be there in Vizag tomorrow morning.
Right, Ghazali, thanks very much for joining us with that. Absolutely incredible. Happy faces there. All these scammed Indians set to return home. In other news now, pre-poll violence reported in West Bengal's Nandigram. It's part of the Tumlak constituency that goes to polls in the upcoming phase. Remember, one woman was killed and several people have been injured in this pre-poll violence. In fact, security forces were rushed to Nandigram and security has been ramped up in the district. The BJP said that the TMC workers attacked them. The TMC said that their cadre was attacked. So a flashpoint there in West Bengal on the eve of polls. My colleague Saurabh Gupta reports from the ground.
This was near Shonachura in Monashatala Bajar in Nandigram. And you know, Nandigram is a politically, very, very important seat because irrespective of, it's otherwise it's any other town. But Nandigram agitation is what, catapulted is one of the things that catapulted the Trinamool to power. And, of course, in Nandigram assembly seat, Shubhendu Adhikari won that seat, defeating Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee last time. And therefore, this has become a prestige seat. Even Mamata Banerjee has said that she would, of course, campaign here and all of that. But in the sense that this violence today is taking place because of the death of that woman, and that's something that, we saw in terms of all the, shops that were burnt there. In fact, we have those visuals on our screen, I'm sure. And that has led to a deployment of heavy security forces who are still there. After dark, of course, the real worry is that there's hopefully no repeat of what happened yesterday tonight, and security forces say that they have asked people to go indoors and not come out on the streets, and this is something that they hope that will ensure that calm prevails till of course the election, because the election is only day after tomorrow, as you know, in phase 6, and Nandigram is part of the larger Tumluk parliamentary seat, like you said. And the Trinamool is of course fighting to retain its grasp over the electorate in Bengal, and in such a showdown where you have two aggressive political forces taking on each other, there is bound to be a lot of heavy-duty campaigning, and these are, like I mentioned in cricketing terms, the slog-overs of these elections. Bengal has really voted in every phase, and in these slog-overs you will hear heavy hitting by political parties, and sometimes, of course, the fallout is also that there is violent incidents, and this is something that we are seeing now in terms of the election. And yes, this perhaps has been an election that's seen much less violence than previous elections if you compare it to the Panchayat elections. For example, the last time around at least 50 people died. But in comparison to that, perhaps the Lok Sabha elections has been far less violent. But then again, what pictures we see, it doesn't matter whether there's one incident or 10 incidents or 20 incidents. The fact is that everyone wants a violence-free election, and the political parties will blame each other for the violence, and of course there are supporters of political parties who also engage in taking on each other. But at the end of the day, it's the electorate that has to have a peaceful election, and the focus of the central security forces, the police, is to ensure that there is no more violence before voting day and people can go out and vote peacefully.
Looking at some more news now, and in Maharashtra, in Thane, in fact, a massive fire was reported at a factory at an industrial area very close to Mumbai, in fact, and 8 people in the latest have been killed because of this Thane factory blast. The Chief Minister, in fact, has also visited the hospital where various injured have been admitted to. Remember, he's also announced a compensation of 5 lakh rupees for the families of the victims. And the rescue operations were in fact massive. They continued for long hours. There were multiple fire tenders at the spot as well. But listen in to what the Chief Minister had to say, and also a ground report from Sunil.
रिएक्टर का ब्लास्ट है, ये स्फोट है, बहुत बड़ा भयंकर है और इसकी तीव्रता बहुत ज़्यादा है। आजू बाजू के 6-7 फैक्ट्री डैमेज हो चुकी है। आजू बाजू में लोग रहते, उनको भी इससे डैमेज हुआ है। और ये पूरी तरह ऐसे जो हाईली हैजार्डस कंपनियां हैं, जो उसको रेड कैटेगरी कहा जाता है, ये सभी जो जितने यूनिट है उसको शिफ्ट करने का निर्णय लिया है। ये हाई लेवल की इंक्वायरी होगी, इसमें जो भी दोषी पाए जाएंगे उनके ऊपर कड़ी कार्रवाई की जाएगी, किसी को भी बख्शा नहीं जाएगा।
सर, ये बताइए कि आप जब यहाँ पर आए तब क्या स्थिति थी और अब क्या स्थिति है, और ये जो धमाका बताया जा रहा है कि बॉयलर में हुआ था, हमने जगह देखी तो बिल्कुल बड़ा एक गड्ढा सा हो गया है और इतनी फैक्ट्रियाँ, इतना उसका इम्पैक्ट, कुछ बात जो है कि मतलब कह सकते हैं क्या इतना बॉयलर के धमाके का इतना असर होता है?
हाँ, जब रिएक्टर की बात है, रिएक्टर ब्लास्ट हुआ है बता रहे हैं यहाँ के जो लोग हैं, स्थानीय लोग, और कंपनी के मालिक का भी, कंपनी के जो वर्कर्स हैं उनका भी कहना है कि रिएक्टर था और रिएक्टर का ब्लास्ट हुआ है। और इसका इम्पैक्ट अभी सिविलियन से जो ये आसपास के उन्होंने बताया है कि ये काफ़ी शटरिंग पावर था, इम्पैक्ट ज़्यादा था इसका। और हम यहाँ पे पहुँचने के बाद एनडीआरएफ की टीम जहाँ पे देख रही थी कि चारों तरफ आग लगी है और उसको फायर टेंडर्स है उसको आग बुझाने का काम कर रहे हैं। और अभी बहुत हद तक इन्होंने फायर ब्रिगेड ने ये फायर को कंट्रोल किया है।
रिएक्टर किस तरह का था, क्या इस पर कुछ प्रकाश डाल पाए हैं?
रिएक्टर क्या था मैं इसके बारे में जानकारी नहीं दे सकता और या मुझे उसकी टेक्निकल इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं है, पर हाइड्रोजन पेरोक्साइड वगैरह इन्वॉल्व है इसमें। और जो साइड की दूसरी कंपनी है उसमें भी सल्फ्यूरिक एसिड है, उसके फ्यूम्स वगैरह निकल रहे हैं, तो काफ़ी टॉक्सिक एनवायरनमेंट है और यहाँ पे काम करना एक बड़ा चैलेंज है।
जिस तरह से धमाके का जो इम्पैक्ट है, आप पहले भी इस तरह के हादसों में गए होंगे, तो क्या इतना इम्पैक्ट होता है किसी रिएक्टर का नॉर्मली?
ये जो रिएक्टर है और उसकी कैपेसिटी कितनी है, कैपेसिटी के वाइज इसका इम्पैक्ट वेरी करता है।
तो आप लोग यहाँ पर आए हैं, तो क्या कोई और फंसा है, कुछ जानकारी है आप लोग?
हाँ, यहाँ पे हमें एक सिविलियन मिले हैं, उन्होंने बताया कि उनके जो नॉन टू है यहाँ पे फंसे हैं, पर हम चारों तरफ से देख रहे हैं। अभी स्ट्रक्चर जैसे आप देख सकते हैं कि अनस्टेबल स्ट्रक्चर है और आग भी कम्प्लीटली उसको डाउज नहीं है। तो जैसे ही ये आग पे नियंत्रण आ जाता है और स्ट्रक्चर को स्टेबलाइज हम कर लेते हैं तो हम वैसे एक्सेस करेंगे। और एनडीआरएफ की टीम इसमें वेल ट्रेंड है कि कैसे एक्सेस करना है।
Absolutely tragic there. The exact cause of the fire is yet to be ascertained. But moving now to political news, well, the Prime Minister campaigned in the heartland of Punjab in Patiala. In fact, in a major outreach, he also said that drug mafia is something that is rising under the opposition and the Aam Aadmi Party government in Punjab, and that is something the BJP is taking very seriously. In fact, the Prime Minister also took a jibe at Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann, saying that he is busy registering his presence at New Delhi meetings. Take a look.
कट्टर भ्रष्टाचारियों ने पंजाब का क्या हाल बना दिया। यहां से उद्योग कारोबार पलायन कर रहा है और ड्रग्स का, नशे का कारोबार फल फूल रहा है। यहां राज्य सरकार का हुक्म नहीं चलता। यहां रेत खनन माफिया, ड्रग माफिया, शूटर गैंग की मनमानी चलती है। जो कागजी सीएम है उन्हें दिल्ली दरबार में हाजिरी लगाने से ही फुर्सत नहीं है।
And with that, we'll take a short break now. News continues on the other side. Of late, several Naxal attacks have been reported in Chhattisgarh, but now in a unique solution, the government has reached out to Naxalites asking them to join the mainstream. Does this solution actually work? What are its ramifications on the ground? My colleague Nilesh Tripathi spoke to the Home Minister of Chhattisgarh. Listen to what he had to say.
नहीं, मसला ये है कि पुनर्वास जिन्हें करना है वो क्या चाहते हैं सरकार से उनको बताना चाहिए और उसके लिए कोशिश है, मतलब ईमेल आईडी जारी किए हैं, गूगल फॉर्म जारी किए हैं। अगर कोई ऐसा विषय उनके मन में आता है कि ये होना चाहिए सरकार के इसमें तो बता सकते हैं। उस पर हम लोग काम करेंगे, उसके आधार पर योजनाओं को तैयार करने की कोशिश करेंगे, उसके आधार पर उनसे आग्रह करेंगे कि आप मुख्यधारा में शामिल हों, नई जीवन की शुरुआत करें, शांतिपूर्ण जीवन, बंदूक से दूर का जीवन शुरू करें। बंदूक लेकर जंगल में घूमने का अर्थ नहीं है। सरकार बहुत स्पष्टता के साथ इस बात को मानती है कि बस्तर के गांवों में विकास पहुंचना चाहिए और विकास के मार्ग पर आईईडी बिछा कर रखा है नक्सलियों ने। तो सरकार, विष्णुदेव जी की सरकार इस बात के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है। इस मार्ग पर जो भी व्यवधान होंगे उनको प्रयासों से चर्चा करके दूर किया जाएगा और कुछ नहीं होने पर सख्ती की जाएगी। ये जो विचारधारा है ये गलत है। मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ कि माओवाद दुनिया में कहाँ सक्षम हुआ है, कहाँ उसका फल आपको दिखा है? चीन में तो है माओवाद ना, चीन के शासन में है ना। क्या मिल गया है वहाँ पर? किसी को क्या हो गया? 1998 में 99 जो भी है, उस समय थियानमन चौक पर अपने ही देश के विद्यार्थियों ने जब लोकतंत्र की मांग के लिए आंदोलन किया तो उनको टैंक से उड़ाया गया। भाई, तिब्बत में कितने बौद्ध मठों को खत्म कर दिया गया। जो कॉरपोरेट की बात करते हैं यहाँ पर, सबसे बड़े बड़े कॉरपोरेट तो चीन में है ना आज के समय में। माओवाद है वहाँ पर शासन। जिस बात करते हैं कि संसाधनों का दोहन, सबसे भयंकर तो वहीं हो रहा है। वो कहते हैं कि समानता, स्वतंत्रता, वहाँ पर तो एक व्यक्ति को, वहाँ कोई मीडिया नहीं होता, प्रेस नहीं होता, कोई किसी से आप मुझसे प्रश्न पूछ रहे हैं, ऐसा कोई प्रश्न नहीं पूछा जाता है।
And moving now to our big focus on NDTV, the Karnataka mass rape case in which Prajwal Revanna is still missing. He is not yet returned to India. And former Prime Minister and his grandfather, H.D. Devagowda, has now issued a warning of sorts to Prajwal Revanna, asking him to return to India as soon as possible from wherever he is. Though, of course, a lookout notice has been issued against him. A blue corner notice was also issued by the CBI earlier. But, of course, the agencies, the multiple agencies which are probing the case, have not been able to bring him before the law. Devagowda's tweet comes amid massive outrage over the mass rape case. The big question is it too little, too late? And the big international story now, well, after outrage and backlash from the cabinet ministers, Rishi Sunak has decided to retain the graduate visa, which essentially allows international students to stay on for 2 years after completing their graduation. Though, of course, it's under review, which essentially means that the bid is to target rogue recruitment agents. To talk more about this, I'm being joined by a very special guest. Sanam Arora, chairperson of the National Indian Students and Alumni Union, is joining us live from London. Ms. Arora, thanks very much for speaking to NDTV. What are the ramifications of this? The graduate visa is something that is extremely essential and fundamental to, international students. But of course, it's been kept under review. Would you still look at it as a relief to international students, particularly Indian students?
Yes, I have been cautioning for many days not to celebrate too early, but I am definitely saying we can celebrate tonight. This definitely comes as a huge relief. There's been so much uncertainty over the last couple of months around this, so much chaos, so much anxiety among students, but I think we can all finally sigh in relief. And I think this is great news, particularly for Indian students. As you correctly point out, international students, for them it's really important to get this 2-year ability to look for jobs, to get some meaningful work experience and really set themselves apart in the global labor markets. And I think this visa absolutely allows us to do that. So big win today.
And you work with students very closely and multiple Indian students as well, I'm sure. How important is the graduate visa for them? And particularly also looking at students who want to go abroad, who want to go to the UK to pursue their masters, their graduation, not their masters, but their graduation. How important is it for them?
I think it's absolutely of critical importance. So we have run numbers of surveys, and we speak to students all the time as well. 70% of Indian students have told us at the NISAO that apart from the academic prowess of the institution that they're looking at, the ability to gain this meaningful work experience, the ability to be able to look for jobs, to start their own businesses, to really get, you cannot separate the work experience from the study experience. Working and having that real life experience is very much part of that entire study offer. So 70% of students have told us this is the number one requirement they have that makes them choose between a UK or a US or an Australia or a Canada. If the UK had taken this away, I'm afraid the numbers would have plummeted. Numbers of Indian students seeking to come to the UK would have really been hit quite badly.
Right.
So this is a massive relief.
Absolutely, but there is a caveat as well. It's under review. What does that really mean? Because, while the government may say that their bid is to target rogue agents, but, keeping it under review, what exactly does it mean and what are the ramifications of it for students?
So when the government announced that it was going to take a graduate route review in the first place, I was amongst the people who had said that it was too early to conduct this review. It is all very political, and I can come on to the politics separately, but we've only had the graduate route for hardly 3 years so far. Only one or almost now the second cohort will be going through it. So there hasn't been enough meaningful data to actually come up with a full-blown review. The Migration Advisory Committee, or MAC as it's called, which undertook the review, itself said that, it took longer for the government to commission the review than they gave the MAC to actually conduct the review. Right. And so this expedited rapid review has happened. And so it's not surprising that the government has said that they'll keep it under review. Also, this is all very political. Immigration is such a hot topic in the UK. Absolutely. That I think if the government admitted that they weren't taking the graduate route away, that would have been a problem. If they took it away, that would have been a problem. So this is a nice middle ground, I think, that helps them.
And it's interesting that you say it's political, and of course it's political. It also comes, close on the heels of this, surprise announcement of the elections as well. So, it coinciding with that. But thanks very much, Ms. Arora, for joining us with that. As you said, certainly, a big relief for international students, particularly Indians. And finally, our special story on NDTV, we make you meet today this year's Amal Clooney Women's Empowerment winner. She is Aarti. She is just 19 years old, but she's a trailblazer from Bahraich in Uttar Pradesh.
मेरा नाम आरती है और जिला मेरा बहराइच है। भारत देश से हैं हम। घर में हमारी मम्मी है, पापा हैं, भाई है, बहन है। ई-रिक्शा चलाते हैं। मैम हमको खुशी है कि हम महिला को सहायता करते हैं। बहुत खुशी है मैम।
19-year-old Aarti is this year's Amal Clooney Women's Empowerment winner. She was among the esteemed guests at a reception hosted by Britain's King Charles III, which celebrated a group of young people who have turned their lives around with support from the Prince's Trust. Aarti was introduced to a state government pink rickshaw campaign where female passengers are provided with the transport driven by female drivers. Aarti now ensures women in her community are able to safely travel to work and earn an independent living, and inspires other girls in her village to chase after their goals.
खुद से जैसे दूसरों को आगे हाथ फैलाओ, उससे कहीं ज़्यादा अच्छा है कि अपने आप से काम करके अपने बच्ची का अपना खर्चा चलाओ, वो ज़्यादा बेहतर है।
I am so proud to be here to present the Amal Clooney Women's Empowerment Award. This year's winner is a very special young woman.
Aarti has now been honoured at the 2024 Prince's Trust Awards in London for consistently working to improve lives in her community. She continues to inspire girls in her village to believe that they too can forge their own path. Parmeshwar Bava for NDTV.